All right, welcome everyone. This is the Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is January 7th, 2017. This is a Saturday morning webinar, and the title of today's webinar is Using ObjectTrader for Great Trades. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, anything else with Viper Trading Systems, our trading room, nothing else should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, I'll go ahead and get started. By the way, we've got people here. Of course, every single time, welcome members. We love you guys. Believe me. Hope you make all kinds of money. People that are here on trial this week, kind of checking us out, be sure and check out under our website. Got basically some webinars for you. I went ahead and uploaded even the one where we did the oil inventory on Thursday. This was live trade calls. You know, feel free to send it to any skeptics or anybody out there that doesn't think, you know, that certain vendors know how to, call trade calls, because I think you'll see by that video right there that we do. Okay, and then here's a couple of others here. Lines make great profits. I did that one on Tuesday night, and then Charles did this one on Thursday night. And we will be taking these down next week and probably just leave, a little bit different ones on. Be sure and watch this webinar right here. That's training on all Viper indicators, okay, and ObjectTrader strategy, okay. And what I'm going to teach on today is ObjectTrader, the strategy. Now, ObjectTrader was designed so that we could all be able to have a nice little tool that'll let us get into the trade, when we want to. For instance, we could have 3 charts up and have some of them already ready to go, because don't we know, people that have been to our webinar, we know right about where that next trade is once we get that thrust, don't we? And that was taught in the Tuesday webinar, so I won't go over that as much today. Today is about ObjectTrader, to let people know a little bit more about how the tool actually works. Now, one thing that you want to always make sure to do is you do have to have your data feed for a strategy to actually show on your chart. Okay, that's extremely important, because if you don't, if you go to right click and go to strategies, that's going to be grayed out. Okay, now also if you have Chart Trader on, you will not see strategies. Even if it's in a minimized mode, it doesn't matter. See, it doesn't look like Chart Trader's on that chart, but it is, because the strategy is grayed out. So be sure that those things are done so that you can have ObjectTrader on your chart. We'll need to remove Chart Trader, like so. Right click, go to strategies. And you may have a bunch of other strategies on yours. Some people have some custom strategies and things. But we've named this one ObjectTrader EXT. You just simply double click it. And before you put it on your chart, you need to know what you're actually in. In other words, like right now, I'm in replay mode. That's what we're going to go into. But if you were going to go your live account, you would just simply, before you ever put ObjectTrader on, you would need to make sure to go out of global sim mode, okay? Because a lot of times this is checked, and you can't trade your live account if that's checked. So you need to make sure that's turned off, okay? And then you just simply put ObjectTrader on your chart. And once you put it on your chart, you do have the drop down where you can actually drop down to your different accounts, okay? And you'll choose the one you want to trade on, okay? When ObjectTrader is in Sim 101 or Replay 101, it will be with the gray background on it. So you'll know that it's really in a sim mode. Now, it doesn't know any different if you have an account that's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would seem like that would be a live account to ObjectTrader, so it would show up in green. You will have to put your live account on, obviously, to have it show up in the green. Is anybody else not getting sound at all? My sound's coming through perfectly on the little meter. We'll see if it comes back for him. Because if you ever don't get sound, just be sure and log out of GoToWebinar and go back in. All right. Now, before you put ObjectTrader on your chart, you can go up to any one of these parameters. When these are in black like this and not grayed out, you can change anything you want. If you want to display your account name, you can do that just by simply clicking True here. You can right-click and set that as your default if you want to. Okay, you can change anything in here. If you like certain colors different, just change your colors. This can all be done. Your widths and dot styles and all kinds of stuff. Your line length for your targets and things, you can change that. You can tell it to be on the left or the right. You can choose how you want your targets to be. I like my targets to be 7, 10, 15, and 20. We defaulted it in 5, 10, 15, and 20. And, you can always just go by the default. Now, you've also got the ability with ObjectTrader, any of these parameters that you change, you can also go down here to this template and simply save it as your favorite template. For instance, if you like to trade oil for, say 3 contracts with, like an 8, a 12, and a 15 or something like that, you could save it as that. You just simply, save it as like your CL, and then when you get ready to load ObjectTrader, before you ever put it on your chart, you just simply click to load it, and it would have a drop down. I don't have any on mine right now because I don't save templates on it, but you can. Okay, you just simply save it as what you want it to be. I'll show you how to do that. Let's say if we were to let's just go ahead and do something like this. Let's say we did an 8, a 15. I wanted to go with like more than one contract at one time, which I could easily do. I could change my quantity to like 3 if I wanted to. Okay, and then I simply just save that as my template, and I could call that like CL. Okay, and then hit enter. Okay. Now, you'll notice I don't have ObjectTrader on my chart right now, but if I right-click and go to Strategy and just load ObjectTrader, it's going to be on the normal default. But if I choose my template, I just simply say Load CL, like that, and then click OK, and you'll notice that I'm on 8, 15, and I've got 3 contracts. See, so that would automatically know that I've got 3 contracts using that particular template and my particular settings here. And you can change some other stuff too. You can even turn on a chart P&L, max drawdowns and things like that, and even save that as your template. Okay. If you just want the default one, just simply turn off ObjectTrader, remove it, put it back on, and if you don't choose a template, it'll just be the normal one that you've saved as your default. Okay. Now take some time and look at the different things ObjectTrader actually has, because it's quite a little tool. You can not only change colors and things, which is great, but you can set your targets, you can set the line lengths, you can set your stop and reverse to either stay on if you want it to. I mean, you could have this where if you wanted to stop, if you hit a stop and you want it to reverse every time, you just simply change that to true. But normally we don't do that. Now, clear stop and reverse, you could leave that on false and it won't clear it, and then it'll constantly remember to do it that way. Okay, and of course your trail parameters, these are just different parameters that we have. It automatically defaults to like 0, on this trail stop. This is our newest trail stop, this trail stop 3, and I'll show you how to use that in just a few minutes. All right, you even have some time zones that you can have ObjectTrader actually trade by time if you want to. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go in the normal setting. I'll just load it just like normal, ObjectTrader, and I don't think I saved that default. Yeah, and then just go ahead and load it, and see, you'll notice that it defaults at 1, And mine defaults at 7, 10, 15, and 20 because I did change mine from 5. Okay, and I showed you how to do that. You just right-click and set it as your default. Okay. Now, if you trade more than one contract all the time, then just tell ObjectTrader what increments you want to go in. You can even tell it, rather than, you know, going like 1, 2, 3, 4, you can even tell it to go in increments of 3. You could go from 3 to 6 to 9. You see what I mean? That way, under the parameter, if you want to, that is. Let's see, we'll just go ahead and change this to false and apply. See how that goes black now? But you can actually change the quantity interval, you know, even on the deal. For instance, if I wanted to say 3, well, let's just do 2 and do a quantity interval of 2. Oop, and then you got to set it, obviously, for true. All right. And then you'll notice that it'll go 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. That way you don't even have your odd in there if you don't want them. You know, we built this where this little trader will do about everything you want it to do. You can be as complex as you want it to be, or you can be as simplistic as you want it to be. You know, simply drawing a box, to give an example, pretty easy to do. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to the regular settings again. Anytime you want it regular, all you have to do is either turn it off and click apply, and then simply turn it back on by enabling true, and then it's back to your default. Although I didn't change that. Just one sec. I do have to change that. We'll just remove it and put it back on. That'll be just like changing it. There we go. All right, we're back to 1. So it now will go in intervals of 1. Okay. Now, something I like about ObjectTrader also, you know, for instance, this is kind of hindsight, but let me show you a few things you can do. Let's say that you wanted to do something like this. See where this did this first little initial thrust retrace, and you draw a trend line? Look where that started breaking the other direction. So could it be possible that you could actually do something like this also? Right? And if it breaks that, would it do this again? You see what I mean? So we have features built into ObjectTrader like ray. First off, you have a region, which is a box. To get that region, we just simply hit insert like that. Now you have to be inside the chart. If you were perusing around on the internet on another screen, ObjectTrader doesn't know you're inside this chart. So make sure you just left click inside the chart, click insert. You can then size your box, move your box. You can do anything with it that you want. Okay? Move it around, whatever you want to do. However you want it set. It's before you hit the enter button, this is nothing but just a shadow. That's all it is. When I hit enter like that, then that makes it to where ObjectTrader is actually live with either my sim account, if I've chosen that, or of course my live account. Now, if you're using your live account, you want to make sure you know how to use ObjectTrader, because the way this is set right now, the top of the box is the T button, the bottom of the box is the B. So top and bottom, very simple, right? Set for close above or close below. So in other words, with both of these enabled, I've set this already to go close above long or close below short. Okay, and I can do anything I want. I can even add offsets to that. I can make it close +2. I can make it close +2 out of the bottom. I can make it touch +2. I can make it touch +3 or 4. Just anything I want to do, I can do with that. Now I can't do anything with this box right now. You notice that it's locked. Okay, if I want to change something, I have to hit enter, go back and position my box however I want it, like so, to give an example. Okay, and then you just hit enter and you're back in another situation. Now if it's already fired a trade, you're too late. Okay, so always be sure that you know where you're setting this thing and what it's doing. This is no different than the current Dan. The one thing I am going to add though, very, very shortly, I'm hoping within the week even, is I'm going to add a feature to ObjectTrader that basically, let's say that you had this little trade right here start heading down. Let me go with, okay. Notice right here, now this is one killer on this though. You're going to have to be careful of when you use something like this, because you don't want to just fire it until it gets down near mid-band. Okay, so you'll leave this new feature. There's going to be a new feature over here that you're going to be able to choose. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get these trades when they come down around mid-band, okay, and then turn on this little feature and enable whichever way we want it to go. And I also want to add it as a trail stop too, because the thing about that is that, let's say for instance, in real time, you're looking at this right here. Now we know that when it gets to mid-band, that this could be a pretty important trade, okay, as it bounces off of mid-band, and a lot of times they just kind of stair step down. And you know, when it gets like touching at or below mid-band, you might be able to turn on a feature like that. It would have never fired here because this didn't close above, and it would have done down here. It would have fired right in through here. Now granted, would that have been a trade? Well, you might have gotten a scalp. This is your better trade down here, okay? But it would have still gotten you a little scalp. This one definitely would have gotten you more than a scalp, okay? And it'll be automatically when that turns on the opposite color. Because remember, when this thing goes down like to mid-band, this is going to be red. This is possibly going to be red, but your power meter 3 is probably going to be green. Okay, so we're looking for these retraces. Okay, now that's just going to be something new added, but just so you know that, Dan, this is the same ObjectTrader that everyone else has got in their package right here. Once I get from my programmer the new features, I'll start playing around with it, make sure it works, even with my real account and everything, and then we'll get it out to everyone. Let's see, can the size of the box be changed as a default size? Let me look. It's been a long time since I've looked at that. Let's check it. We'll turn it back off. Go up here. Don't have a box setting here. It looks like it's showing like it's a 5-tick box that the zone is drawn in. Let's look at it and see. Label offset pixels. I would think this is actually where your box size comes in, and it may be that it's actually defaulted at something. Let's see what size it actually draws at, and I'll tell you. Because you can change it, so it really doesn't matter on that. But I could get that added, I'm sure. Let's see how many pixels, how many ticks that is. Looks to be 8 to me. We got what, 929 to 37. So yeah, it's 8 ticks is what it is. That's the default of it. But the moment it draws, you can actually, you know, drag it however you want it. You know, for instance, I could actually, if I wanted to, let me get rid of some of these lines on the chart here real quick. I could even do something like this if I wanted to. Bear with me a second. I think I erased. You don't want to delete that while that's up there. Let me reload it. One more time. All right, let's go to insert. Okay, now let's say for instance that I thought, you know what, if this actually breaks this little area right down here, you know, I could have a long-term chart where I could put this with say the long turned off and strictly be looking for a short if it takes this out. Keep in mind that's my medium swing. See what I mean? And I could actually have this set on another chart and even be trading another chart if I wanted to by just simply doing something like that right there. And I can change however many I want like that. And I could go on and go to another chart like so. I'll go ahead and go to another YM chart too. Here we go. All right. And then I could be ready to trade this on this chart with ObjectTrader, but maybe I want to trade this one, for instance, when it comes down to mid-band. We're going sideways, but let's see if we can get an actual little trade. We'll find out. We'll do, since it's YM, we'll do like 4. And I'll show you how to use this. We'll leave this one alone because we don't even care about it for a little while because it's going to be a while before it gets down there for sure. Now, ObjectTrader has another feature on it called bar close. Now, bar close is one of my favorites because what I do is I simply turn it to bar close. You'll notice it turns off your enabled buttons here. And I'm simply waiting for it to come down. Since it's sideways, I'm going to scalp. See, it's sideways. You can clearly tell. Matter of fact, you could probably short that. But we won't go against the trend. We'll just go for a retrace trade. Let's see if we can get something here. I'll speed it up just a little bit. Now, does everybody that's in the room know how to use the region? You know what I was talking about, the T button and the B button? Does that make perfect sense? The top of the box and the bottom of the box? Touch, touch plus, close, close plus. It's all just the parameter that you set. You know, for instance, when Charles talks about boxing in, to give an example, on a closed bar, you notice how many times you get faked on that where it just barely closes below it? Make your box a little bit larger. Or say, you know what, I want it to close plus, you know, a full closed bar plus 3 more ticks or 4 more ticks, maybe 2 closed bars. You see what I mean? Because when they break and they go the other direction, they're going to do it. They're not going to do that little faking stuff. You know, so the beauty of that box is that you can do what you want with it. See, we know there's a trade. Let's just look to the left to trade the right. We know that they thrust up here, pull back into here. Okay. We've got another line right across, say, here that's even on this little bit smaller move. Okay. Here's our little mid-band. Whoa, that was too quick. Anyway, that's not going to work out. But see how that, we'll close it. See how that bar close, that was evidently at an open of the market. So we kind of messed up on that one. That's okay. Let me slow it down. I got it going like 30 times. Everybody see what I was talking about though? At normal time, that would have been a trade. Did you notice that? That would have been a decent trade. Bar close, 4 ticks, all the way up, probably around 12, 15 ticks, something like that. Right? Okay. So we started out simply because I was going at 15 times with a $185 loss. Now, what do you do when something like that happens to you in real time? And that happens to me in real time too, believe me. It happens to any trader. If that would have shotgunned and I had turned on bar close, I might have gotten filled all the way up here. If something like that happens, kill it as quick as you can because you just literally bought a thrust. Okay? Breaks down below that, I'll go ahead and short that. Everybody see why I did that? That's like boxing it in at the mid-band. Now, keep in mind that this could easily be a phantom trade, and I could still get a higher low than this one right here. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and draw a trend line again. Right along in here. Yeah, it's breaking our trend line. So we're now down $305. We got our stop in though, so let's just see if this thing works out. Okay? Now, do you panic when you see something like this happen? Because if you do panic when you see something like this happen, by the way, this is at the open of the market. This was an actual trade call that we took in the room. Okay. And notice how it took out the 831 Band-Aid. It closed below it. Charles and I were both in the trade. We also said that we would flip it if it took out this area right here. That would actually flip that meter. Okay. So we just kind of rode the trade a little bit. And look to the left always to trade the right. I would be looking for that. Let's get this out of the way. We don't need it. I would be looking for this as a target. And I would be looking for this as a target. And one more, if we could take it out, would be here, then here. Okay, now we don't know if it's going to go that low, but we've got our lines drawn on our chart just in case it does. Okay, it looks like it's going to be a decent trade. Now you would more than likely take some profit at that line right there. Okay, because, well, it went through it, so you're still okay. But what you want to do, if you come to a support area and it doesn't just break right through it, go ahead and take a couple off. And with ObjectTrader, it's this easy. Just simply say, you know what, if I get a bar close up, I'm going to take 2 off. And if that bar closes up, you're just in 2. See there how easy that is? And now we're in the profit again. Okay? Now you can also dip the toe when you're trading also, because 4 contracts on YM is $20 a tick. So that can take away some of your money fairly quickly, right? Let's see, can you explain the break even next to quantity as opposed to break even below TR2? Well, Jack, on your question, let me pause this for a second too so we can stay with a decent trade. You're talking about this being your break even trigger right here. Now I've got mine where I set it at 0 because I don't want it to break even trigger. I want to move my own stops. But that's up to the individual if they do. I personally have seen a good 12-tick trade retrace 14 ticks, take somebody out, and then roll right back over and give a monster trade too. So I don't personally use that feature. But you're talking about this one down here. Well, that's actually supposed to be to where, let's see, if you get in a trade, I haven't really used this particular one, but like let's say if you set it at break even +3, I would think that it would have to hit a target or something. I'll actually ask my programmer today. I've got a meeting with him after the room, after we close this today, and I'll check with him. Because it's been so long, I don't use this one, and I don't even use this one here. But that is a good question. Anybody else use that? And if it doesn't work, I'll make sure it does work. We'll get him to look at it. Yeah, because I've never used that one. Just click the button and it will set your break even. We'll find out. We'll get into another trade here in just a bit and we'll see. Now, so far I've showed you the region and the bar close trade. Okay. You do also have another one on here called the ray trade. And you can actually use that ray trade to make some good trades also. And I'll show you a little bit about it too. Let's see, we've only got 2 contracts on, so we need to move our target. Notice how you bounced right off of support right where we thought we would. If that turns green, I'm going to kill this trade. See there? Green. That could be a trail stop that we can build right into ObjectTrader, by the way. Y'all want that? Now, it doesn't mean this isn't going to go a little bit deeper because that's going to be a very tight stop. Okay? See, because this did go ahead and just barely graze it and came down a little bit. Okay, but we're out of the trade. It's no big deal. Where's our next trade set up on this chart? Anyone? Well, it's screaming at us right now, isn't it? Let's look and see. We're out of the trade. We've got a predictor. Let's get rid of our lines again. And let's use UsingObjectTrader. Don't ever click in there. I do that constantly. All right. So let's see. We've got a predictor right here. Look to the left always to trade the right. That's a pretty good swing too. And we got another swing right here at 95. That's where I would expect the sweet spot to be for UsingObjectTrader, like that. So let's go ahead and do a little trade with UsingObjectTrader, see if we can get it. And we're going to do a region. I'm going to go ahead and do an outside just in case here. And I'm going to do like a touch +2, and we'll fire it up and see what it does here. Now, if it goes through this bottom one right here and then tags and rolls over at the top, it should fire accordingly. Let's see if we can get it. We're going to do 4 again. See if we can get it. We know right where our sweet spot is, right? Because we've got our mid band. We got a little swing right up here, mid band, and we've got our resistance right here. Now we could also get ready to take it if this goes to the red side. Let's see if we can get it. Looks like we're going to. There we did. We just got it. All right. Now, since we're in a yellow bar type situation, you can actually scalp these if you want, or you can go for gustos. It's up to you entirely on that. Okay? Because they don't always give you, just monster runs. You can scalp it if you want. You can actually go down to the next level to where you think it's going to hit. I would say more than likely, since I've only got one contract left, that's a pretty good swing. I would say that it would at least hit a couple of ticks like that. Now, if I had more than one target, I'd go for here also, but unfortunately I only have one target. And by the way, you can even turn this on again if you wanted to add anything, just simply by turning that on like that. And if it gets within 2 ticks of that and rolls over, it'll give you the trade again. Looks like, well, maybe. There we go. All right, we just got us a nice little trade. All right. Now, if this keeps going, we're out of the trade. So what do we have to do as traders, even with UsingObjectTrader or anything? We've already gotten our trade, so we're in a thrust. We cannot take a trade now. We've got to wait for a retrace, right? That's the way it's done. Okay. Now, this is actually changing a trend line possibility. Well, we'll just see. You got a low here, a high here, a low here. If it breaks that resistance right there at 95, I think I'd probably take it long myself. But we'll see if we can get another trade. Now, when they don't ratchet down, this is one thing that you want to be careful of. Don't go doing 3 and 4 trades in here, because if a yellow bar probe is going to work, it should take out this low. Okay? It should take out that low. I'm going to go ahead and set that if it breaks resistance. And I'm going to set it It would have to break this support right here. So I'm going to change this just like this, like right down through there. That would be a little lightning area, like that. And then that's telling me that we're still retracing. We got a little higher low. So far, we're actually getting a little higher high, but we haven't had a trend change yet. Does anybody remember this trade on Friday that Charles and I talked about boxing it in? I'm almost positive this is when I got that monster move. But anyway, we'll see. Can you expand the chart? Sure. Something like that, get it a little bit bigger like that. Now remember, if you actually get some of these trades that break like resistance and come back and kiss them, those are definitely not bad little trades. Now what I normally do, if I'm going to take a breakout trade, I will go for like 7 or 10 ticks, maybe even just 7, simply because I just want to get the little thrust. If it does it, we're either going to get a short trade, continue down, or we're going to get a breakout above resistance. And this is right at, close to the ISM report, or no, we had some kind of report on Friday. Well, we had non-farm payroll, so we did talk about it going like a roller coaster. So expect it to trade a little bit differently. Okay, the safest trade that you can actually take is to wait for it to thrust up and pull back. Now, the trade that I personally like, and you could actually see it setting up before your eyes, is like right through this area, right through here. No, I'd still want to take out resistance. But if it comes back and kisses like mid-band, you could actually even turn this on with ObjectTrader, touch +2, and see which one you get. For short, you should turn on short only, right, Claude, because what I'm doing right now is we're already doing a trend change. Everybody sees that, right? You have a low here, a higher low, and a little bit higher high. Now, we don't know if it's going to just be a phantom as of yet. Okay, now I'm in it because it came within 2 ticks of the bottom of my swing here. So I'm going to protect myself on this, okay? So since my lightning swing is thrust, retrace, all the way down, you got a little swing right through here that I definitely don't want them to take out. Otherwise, we'll be heading down. Okay, and on this one, we'll just try to get up to resistance. Now notice how that line there that I drew for the ray, we're actually not totally trending up yet, but we have broken to the upside. Now what's the safest trade though that you can take? This is actually a fairly risky trade, but Charles and I teach this because when they kind of pop above mid-band, they hold these higher levels of support. They will a lot of times pay off for you. Now we're feeling a little bit of heat on it. Okay, we got our stop underneath the swing. See the swing right here? If you drew lightning, you'd see it. It's right there. And I would probably want it to at least close the bar. Yeah, now you can also wait for the power meter, absolutely. Let me show you a safe way to take this trade instead. We'll just close it out. Watch the power meter. And we're just going to click buy if we get a power meter to the green side. These are your buy and sell buttons on ObjectTrader. You can just simply buy a market or sell a market. You can do it as many times as you want. You could buy it 2 contracts and then add 2 if you want to. Just click buy again. You can use the bar closed. Don't use it until it turns green. I like to use the market a lot of times when I'm watching the meter. Now so far we're still kind of heading down, but not really until we take out 777. Okay. Now could this have been a little scalp trade? Yes, it was actually a little predictor trade. The reason that you want to be careful with that predictor type trade is when you got this higher low here. So you get hit with so much loss when you have exit on close on that. When it's risky to do, ever turn it off so it's less of a loss. Well, Mindy, on your question, I still like the exit on close myself, because with the exit on close, I don't get wicked out of a trade. Now, would I feel some heat on it? Very possibly. But so far in this little move, I mean, if somebody was actually starting to trade this, you pretty much got a thrust up, a retrace, and a little thrust up, right? But we haven't changed backgrounds. Now, the way Charles and I like to do it is you simply box in right around mid-band. Now, with me having resistance right here, that's not what I call a really, really good trade unless it just really pops up, like boxing it like that, for instance, because my resistance is actually right there. So I'd be a lot safer, wouldn't I, if I actually boxed it for a break above resistance, but then I've got phantom right here, first time after a trend change. See what I mean? So it's one of those situations where you got to kind of decide, is this going to be a true trend change? And it looks to me like it is, and matter of fact, it was on Friday because we called this trade. But if you want to be safe on it, wait for it to break above, pull back and kiss, hold a higher level of support, like even through here. Say break above resistance, change your power meter, if it'll do it. See if we can get, now there's our power meter. All right, move your targets out of the way, at least to check things to see where your next level of resistance is. See, and it's way up like here. See that monster move down? It's already broken this one. That's your next one. That's your next one. Then that's your next one. And just look to the left. Okay, but keep in mind that even a safer trade is waiting for it to come back into like this area right here, like so. Anywhere around here. Now see, it thrust up already. Now, if you weren't in it yet, you want it to pull back like into stealth, to give an example. You know, I've got like a little line drawn here, but see, stealth is right there. Needs to touch it. If it doesn't, then we'll just miss that trade. See, we just missed it. It didn't come down quite as low as we wanted it to. Okay. Now let me show you a feature that, like I said, I'm going to build into UsingObjectTrader, which I think will help you out a lot, because we teach not to take the thrust, right? Let me show you what to do on this. That was a monster trade, by the way. Okay, now when it turns red, I'm going to kill the trade. Not yet. And like I said, I'll build that feature into it too. So it went red. All right. When they break micro, a lot of times they'll come right down and check medium. Okay. And what I was saying, that I want to build into this to where you can actually get in the trade at or below midband on a long, and we'll watch for the power meter to actually go green. This is going to be a feature that I think y'all are going to like. How to use higher time frame like 10, 30, 60 minute and make a trade? Never. Never in a million years. I'll tell you why on that, Fred, on your question. Let me pause this for just a second. The reason we use 4-range charts is because we've taught the lightning swing way of trading for 9 years now. And lightning swings can get you into some of the best trades you'll possibly have, plus our trend identifying indicators and things like that. See, like right now, to give an example, yes, you could have taken a short, but on our background and everything, we're actually looking for a retracement. Now, where is that retracement on this chart? Anybody? I'll draw you some lines and let's see if we can get it. And then we're going to trigger the trade with UsingObjectTrader. Well, we broke out big time right here, pull back, never checked. So that's a line, right? Never checked it. Thrust up again, pullback's trying to check. right there. Okay, so we're either going to get a bounce here or here, more than likely. Now this meter is going to change from heading down to a heading up, and like I said, I'm going to add a feature to ObjectTrader this week that'll actually add an object type that you're just going to simply be able to turn on and say, you know what, if this thing changes back to long, you know, we're not using a region, but let's say it'll be called PM1, for instance, power meter 1, then this will automatically trigger the trade when that meter turns green. Let's watch it in real time and see if we don't get some kind of a trade, because we called another trade in the room on Friday. This is a phantom trade. Now, I've got it going about 8 times, so let's see if we can catch it. Now, I would actually go ahead and add right there myself because I love phantom trades, and I called that trade on that bar on Friday. Okay, but let's say you didn't get that. You're a little bit more of a conservative trader. Okay, let's watch and see if we can get the trade anyway. Power meter just went green. Our stop would have to be under the swing. Everybody see that? Now that would automatically fire, by the way. Now more than likely when they thrust up above resistance, they'll pull back and check it. Like see, here's support right there on your little swing. Like so. Our stop's just under the swing. We've got a 15 tick stop with 4 contracts. As soon as it pops that, gives our lightning again above this little swing here, we'll raise our stop. And I also want to outfit ObjectTrader with the close bar that'll actually trail it like that too, if y'all want. Okay, see how that's automatically the swing now? You just simply move your stop accordingly. And by the way, if you don't want to move your targets out of the way, you just simply do this, turn them off. Remember when Charles said just get your targets out of the way? That's out of the way for sure. There's no targets left on there. Audio alerts. The only thing I don't like about audio alerts though, David, is that, you know, you got like 4 or 5 different charts, different instruments. You just got audio alerts going off all over the place. I'm not flat. Well, remember, we had the losing trade also, okay? But we also started this chart over, remember, when we were doing some of the stuff? So that's the difference in that also. Now notice that I've got 4 contracts on the chart. I'm going to move my stop underneath lightning, okay? But wouldn't it be great to have a feature on here for power meter to kill your trade? In other words, just let this thing go and the trail stop would just fire the market order if this happens to go red. Because if you had that feature built into ObjectTrader, I'll show you how high you can get on this thing. I had to watch it manually on Friday because I had a trade going on this YM. And let's just fast forward it up a little bit. No red meters, are there? No red meters. Will we get a red meter? We might. We'll see. I want to also add a feature on ObjectTrader to where you could use a red meter to just take off, say, half. You know, for instance, like I may want to stay in this trade until I get a red meter, but maybe even then I don't want to get out of the trade. See there? Green meters. If we get a red meter, we'll go ahead and close it out. Wouldn't that be a great feature? Because we want a red meter to happen so we can get a retrace, right? But maybe we don't want to get out of this trade until, you know, our stop would be way under here, right? That's where your lightning swings are. You could even put it back a little ways. See, here's your support right there. where would the meter go red on this chart right here? Well, right now it would be right under here, like so. But remember, that's on the left side of the chart. This is on the right side of the chart. We've got a little high, a low, lower high so far until it takes out this swing. And there's your red meter. See there? Now, what about when we get a green meter to go back in? Well, we just hit another green meter. That might have been a little bit late, but anyway, ObjectTrader would do this automatically, by the way. Wouldn't that be a cool way to trade this? With meters like that? Now notice when I went ahead and did another trade, my targets come back because obviously I got them turned on here. Pretty good way to trade it, wouldn't it? Absolutely. Now what about when you get another meter to the downside? Could you go again? Let's see if we get a red meter. We'll go out of the trade. No red meter. Are we going to get a red meter? Well, it would have to take this out to do it. Maybe we just want to add if it actually takes out that little swing. See if we can get another little pop. See what I did that? Took out my little swing there. I'd naturally put my stop just underneath the swing. It's identified over here to the left. And of course, if we added that feature to it, you could easily take the trade right off the table when the meter goes red. Now, ObjectTrader, the reason we designed it the way we did is because I want ObjectTrader to be the best tool you can possibly use on your charts. Okay? Because if you're using like ChartTrader to give an example, you got to have ATM strategies set up. You know, a lot of people do use that as far as that goes. But what I do like about ObjectTrader, you can tell it, you know, what targets you want it to be. You can move your targets out of the way. It's right there on your chart live. You can move your stop manually, or we've even got features on ObjectTrader where, let's say for instance that I wanted to go ahead and use midband as my stop. I just simply go to trail 3, midband, which is line 4, trail enabled, engage trail, turn it on, exit on close. And that would take me out of the trade only when midband is taken out. Now when I add this new feature, I think y'all are going to like it, because how would you like to ride that trade? There we go, there we go, there we go, close. See the power meter? We just closed out the trade. Now we just, okay, when you go to yellow bar probes and everything, you want to really just do like 7 ticks or so till they take out this top. This is your range. Like so, got a 7-tick trade. Just like that. See how that predictor actually works like that too? Let's see, bear with me just a second. Could you explain the feature you're referring to, please? Dan, you're talking about the one I'm saying that if we could add the power meter trade? I'm in the process of adding that right now, my programmer, and I've got a meeting right after the room closes. And he's going to be telling me what it's going to run me and what it's, how it's going to work. And I'm going to be explaining to him exactly how I want it to work. And then we should be able to have that trade added to ObjectTrader. I'm gonna do it to where, okay, see your power meter's red. Everybody sees that, right? Well, if power meter goes green, could we be ready for another trade? As long as we don't take this out. There's our little trade. Power meter went green. See if it works. There's you go, another scalp trade. Would it be like the bar close but not just closing one bar? Exactly, Dan. The way it would work would be, I'll show you exactly the way it'll work. I'll draw the lines here. I'm going to go ahead and pause the screen for a second too. Okay, looking at this chart right here, when did this change to the uptrend? When it closed above that swing right there. And was that a decent trade? Yes. Go down here to that last one that we did. Remember this one? Downtrend, 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 way down, thrust up, retrace. It actually busted up above that one there, fired the trade. Okay, if you used line, I'm going to set it up with two different power meters. This one here would have been thrust down, thrust down, thrust down, thrust down, thrust down, would have fired right there. Right when it took out that swing. See, the bar went blue. Line went blue, fired the trade, pulls back into support, and off she went. Now, wouldn't that be a great trade? Now, when you're going to use that is for your retracements. You're not going to just use it, for instance, to trade a thrust trade. If you do use it that way, then I would highly recommend, having your stop just under the previous swing, and obviously power meter would take you out of that trade too. So yeah, we could set it up that way. Let's see if I'm missing any questions. Got quite a few people. Now, what you're looking for in a case like this, see, this never went to a downtrend, okay? Our indicators actually said we're going up, okay? We broke a trend line. We started heading up. We called this trade right in through here on Friday, live in the room, okay? And then what you're doing here, though, that meter would go red the moment you saw these lows taken out, okay? If I drew this from down here, you'll see it in the color of it. See here, you were going up, up, up. You finally started going down when you took that out. So power meter would have gone red right there, and then you simply started heading down. Now, you don't want to just turn it on when it's above midband like this. This is going to be more for a trade that gets down around midband or lower on a long. So in other words, this would have fired it right here too, because it's going to be very active to jump in a trade quickly. But where you want to use it is at or below midband on a long, and at or above midband on a short. See there? That's your best type of trades. To give an example, like right here, could you use it if you walked in the room at 12 o'clock and you saw this little pullback? Well, that pulled into a predictor anyway. So you could fire that trade. This one would have even been better because you could have simply already touched midband. See back over here, for instance. You get in this trade like this. See, you had a thrust down. You've had a red background, so you're stepping up, stepping up, stepping up, stepping up. When did this power meter go to the red side over here? Well, looking at it, would have been right in through. This one would have been a little tougher because you would have had to put your stop here. You would have been fired under here. You still did get a trade, but you would have had to put your stop above the swing. Because of that move, see, that didn't do a zigzag at all, but that did take out the swing over here to the left. Show it to you. See there? That's actually where it would have done its thing right there. So would that trade have worked out? It depends on where your stop was. You may have gotten in it twice with that predictor. I mean, there's no holy grail, unfortunately, in trading, but I can tell you this: when they're stair-stepping like we had over here, these pullbacks are wonderful with the power meter. Let's see, what time frame do you think it will be before you have that? Probably a week. I'm hoping to have it within the week. I want it to have the trailing stop feature and the power meter trade. Okay, because like I say, and keep in mind too that not only this power meter trade, but you've got all these predictors and everything else. I mean, you'll have still some of the best trades, you know, anybody's ever given you. You know, a thrust up, what does it do? It pulls back into predictor, box it in, got you a trade. Pulls back into predictor, box it in, got you a trade. Pulls back into predictor, got you a scalp. Pulls back into predictor, got you a trade. And that's as far as we've gone so far. For trial, remember, when can we try the new features? Well, the new features, HXP, probably won't be even available for at least another week. But ObjectTrader is so loaded now that it'll take you a couple of weeks to even figure out everything that it does. That 2-hour webinar that I did will teach you everything about ObjectTrader. But even since then, we added the power meter and we added the predictors. So, you know, if you look at that particular video, it'll teach you all about what I showed you on ObjectTrader, but I talked about power meter today and also the predictors. These predictors, by the way, even in the choppiest sideways stuff, okay, if you got up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you just simply looked at your chart, you said, you know what, I'm going to take a little trade. You got your 7-tick trade. Predictor right here. I'm going to take me another trade. There's a 7-tick trade. Here's a predictor right here. There's more than a 7-tick trade. See what I mean? Even in this choppy stuff, you can still get some great scalpy type trades while everybody else is just ignoring the market for a while. And then what happens to an average person? They see it break this resistance here and they jump in long here, and then it pulls back all the way down and even takes them short. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't really want to get into really big breakout type trades. Basically, Dan, you're right. You're understanding correctly that the new PM strategy will be another way of boxing it in. Now, there's one caveat. ObjectTrader, pardon me, Lightning has to be zigzag. Okay? There are times that you get a straight down movement and Lightning will not draw, because what is Lightning? Lightning is thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. Okay? So always look at the chart to see, but then obviously you're still going to have predictors. You're going to have mid bands and all that. So, you know, in the live room, we'll call those type of situations out too. But what this thing's going to be designed for is a thrust. You have a high, you have a low, you have same high, you break the swing. All right, so your meter turns red. When did the meter turn back green on this one? Well, look at it. You have a high, a low, lower high, lower low. Okay, low, high, higher low, it would turn green right there. So would that be a great trade? Notice that what happens usually, it thrusts up, it pulls right back into where it broke out, then it goes. Okay, that's the way you want to be trading, is these nice little beautiful pullbacks that give you some of these great setups like that on Friday, and even like this one on Friday. Does anybody remember this? And I think pretty much after that, you know, when one thing you want to look for when you're trading, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, you're looking for one thrust, pullback, second thrust. That's the meat of your trade right there. If you can get a lot of this right through here, then more than likely your leg 5, which is actually your last part of your trade, it may take this out, but it may take this out. You know, in other words, a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low is signaling to me that they may go ahead and break down a little bit. You want to see if they did? Let's just find out. I'll just go into 500 times. It's almost the end of what I have. Yeah, see, it's starting to break down a little bit. And that looks like about where I'm at on my data, because I didn't get it all the way to the end of the day. But where would this change trends, because you have to know where your next trade is on your chart. Well, this is your medium swing, right? High, low, higher, high. This is all a little bit of noise, but you do have a high, a low, a lower high. You haven't taken out this low yet, but I'm pretty sure they did on Friday. But I don't have the data except through about 2 o'clock. All right? But we'll be looking for probably even a downtrend if they start taking this out, or if they even start taking this out, we'll be ready for it. And then try to get profit down and through here. And if they bounce off a phantom, guess what? That meter will turn green. In other words, it's red, it's red, it's red, it's red. It oscillates down here and it starts stair-stepping back up, and you grab the trade right when it stair-steps like that. And that new trade will be able to do that. All right. Anybody have any final questions? I didn't get to go over every feature on ObjectTrader. So what I'd recommend, if anybody doesn't know everything about ObjectTrader, go to, if you're a free trialer, go to this page, webinar page, and watch this webinar right here. Okay? For members, let me show you real quick where you'll need to go. Special 2-hour training. Okay? And then I actually have another one called New Features in ObjectTrader and New Features in ObjectTrader Part 2. So these 4 hours will, and that's a long time, I know, these 4 hours will teach you everything about everything that's in ObjectTrader to date. All right? And then, of course, our regular webinars down through there. Let's see. John says, since you were talking with your programmer, I found that on an ES chart when I engaged a region, I'll lose the view of price on OT. All of the tools work and only occurs on ES. The only thing I could think on that, John, have you rebuilt a chart just to make sure? You lose the view of price. I'll take a look at that and see. And I'll even talk to him. Has anybody ever had that? Because I trade ES occasionally, and I haven't had that do that. I trade it so seldom, though, that it's not my favorite one. If I see a really, really good move in a pullback, I might click a button. Okay. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know some of it was repetitious because ObjectTrader is a great tool that you can use every single day. I noticed Charles even used it in his webinar last Thursday, and he's a little greener on it than I am. And that's not to say anything derogatory, because Charles is really a little bit more of a region type guy, and really mostly a region only, and then bar close, I would imagine. Okay, but we didn't get to go over Sniper and Ray Trade, but those are some great trades too. And the market order is awesome also. If you see, a product come right down to where you think it should on support, click the market order. Take a chance at it. You'd be surprised how many of them work. They're amazing. All right, thanks everyone for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. And everybody that's on trial is also invited next week. Be sure and check your emails tomorrow, and you'll be invited again next week. And we're going to do some live trade calls again, just like we always do. Thanks again. Bye, everyone.